The fact that RLB has been faultless before this game, before getting tactically masterminded by Wayne Rooney, is peak Sunderland. Welcome back to Where Black Cats Walk. We've got Dylan here to review his trip to Plymouth with us and also look ahead, of course, to the big derby this weekend as the Boro boys are in town. Welcome to Where Black Cats Walk. Oh, Dylan, 800 miles is a long way to go when you've lost. Welcome back. Thanks for coming on and smiling through it. If you've not come across this channel before, do drop us a like. On this week's episode, we are reviewing the Plymouth game. We're talking about Middlesbrough and why Middlesbrough hates Sunderland more than the other way round. And we're also talking about left-backs. What's the best left-back ever to put on a Sunderland shirt? And how does Dylan rate the current left-backs at the club? All right then, Dylan. First half, that seemed to go okay. What happened in the second half, though?
Well, I only managed to catch the second half because I was out earlier in the afternoon, so I've come back, turned the fire stick on and just seen an absolute capitulation, to put it lightly. Obviously, they just took the chances better than us. I mean, when it was 2-2, Wilson Isidore had a header at the back post, which he sort of scuffed a bit. If that goes in, we probably win that 3-2 and we're sat here not even bothered. But just the way the cookie crumbles, as I said, they took the chances really well. I think Patterson was unfortunate for the Ballard on goal. His initial save was excellent. We were just unlucky that it's gone straight off the defender and back in the net. But I suppose that's just how it is. And as someone said there, it's peak Sunderland to get beat by Plymouth after the start that we've had.
Yeah, absolutely. Go 4 unbeaten and then lose to a Wayne Rooney side. Absolutely. What did you make of the penalty?
The one for us.
Yeah.
I've seen it back, and the way that the game is now, technically it's probably a penalty, but if that got given against us, I would have been absolutely furious. It's just, I know, as I said, it's the way the game's going, but I don't think stuff like that should be penalties. I think it's becoming a non-contact sport at this rate. It was horrific, but it was given to us, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, toenail on toenail, I think one of the comments said. Okay, each week then we look at the best of social media, so please join us every single week as we put up on the screen and ask our team to look at the best and worst of what's been said on Twitter and on BBC and on forums as well. Here's what Twitter and other forums had to say following the Plymouth game. Buff says, we were atrocious in the second half. Plymouth 100% deserved to win. Labrie was way too slow in making his substitutions when the game was already going against us. Where do you stand on that point, Dylan? There's a few people have said, yeah, should have done that 5-10 minutes earlier and perhaps wouldn't have lost.
Yeah, I can certainly see that viewpoint. I think myself, I also thought that the subs probably could have come a bit earlier, but then at the same time, you can flip it on its head. The 11 that were on the pitch scored 2 goals. No reason why they couldn't have scored another, and maybe what Labrie was trying to do, we thought the lads who were already on the pitch were best equipped to execute the game plan. But as we said, it hasn't gone to plan. But it's got to just sort of take it on the chin and move on. It's not worth looking back at and getting all fed up of for the sake of one poor game when we've been so good in the other games.
Yeah, we can't hammer you too much. However, fans are fans, and there was more to come. Marcus says, tell Ballard and Pato to walk back. I feel for the fans travelling to watch that second half. Absolutely pathetic. On to next week. There was another one about Pato. Stephen James says, Pato is our worst player by far. He's not even championship level. Ballard needs dropping if he's not injured. He's a liability at the moment, but he's a good player. And then another one saying he's too slow to make changes. Anyone can see we were flat before they scored the second. Let's talk about Patterson, shall we? I think we spoke a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, about goalkeepers, and actually you were the team in here were saying he's one of the best. Is he having a bit of a bad spell at the moment?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I said it a couple of weeks back. He's an excellent shot stopper, but what lets him down is his distribution. Obviously, I didn't catch the first goal, but what I've seen people saying is that he sort of had a bad kick, which has then led to them scoring. And as I said, the second goal, the Ballard on goal, Pato shouldn't be getting anywhere near that, and he's kept it out. And then obviously it's gone in off the defender. But if Ballard's not there, then that's not a goal, and everyone's buzzing with the save. He made a good couple of saves. I think they probably could have had one or two more if it weren't for him. So I don't get the Pato hit. I definitely want to see him improve his distribution, because I think it really is detrimental to him at times. But in terms of shot stopping, I still believe he's one of the best keepers in the league.
And Ballard as well. Obviously, he's been out, and you think criticism is unfair.
He had a very poor game. There's no shying away from that. I've seen some people on Twitter go as far as to say that he's been bad ever since the Newcastle game, which I think is a bit extreme. Obviously, an own goal is never gonna look good, and he was sloppy at best in the last game. I think, as people said there, he did look injured at the end of the game, so I imagine he's going to be coming out the side. But with Chris Betton coming in, who's got tons of experience in both the Premier League and the Championship, I think maybe we would have seen Ballard drop out of the side for next week anyway off the back of that performance, because RLB showed that he's got very high standards, and I think a performance like that doesn't keep you in the side the following week.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. This one said it's time to drop Patterson. He's been poor for most of last season, but he thinks he's untouchable. Yes, he makes the odd good save, but he can't get away from today's performance. Before we get our Boro fan in, I'm not sure you drop him. Surely he's certainly the best goalkeeper you have, isn't he?
No, absolutely. I mean, we've got Simon Miller, who, yes, he's experienced, but he played in the Preston game and didn't look particularly outstanding. So I've not seen anything from him that would suggest he deserves to sort of misplace Pato in the side. We've got Blondie, who's come in the summer as well, but then again, he's really young. He hasn't played much. If we had a sort of lights out, excellent second choice goalkeeper, maybe you need to start having that conversation. But as it stands, he's far and away our best keeper, and I think it would be unfair to drop him out the side. I think he's probably, whether people like it or not, as long as he's at the club, nailed on to be our starting keeper until we're seeing Matty Young get a bit older. I think he's the only person on our books at the minute. Obviously, he's out on loan at the moment. He's looked all right so far from what I've read. I think he'll be the person who eventually pushes Pato for that number one spot. But for now, I think he's our starting keeper, and whether people like it or not, they're just going to have to accept it.
Okay. The rest of the comments all had a similar theme. Make sure this doesn't happen on Saturday against Boro, because there'll be hell on. Make sure you're up for it next week. Forget about this result. We owe Boro one. Boro want to upset us again. It's their big day out. Let's send them home with a loss, and unlucky on to the Smog Monsters. So let's focus on the Smog Monsters. Middlesbrough in town. So this gets us Sky billing at 12:30 kickoff on Saturday morning. No complaints about the travelling for this one, Rich, I'd imagine.
Nah, it's a nice, easy one, this one.
Welcome to our Black Cats Walk. This is Rich from Across Terrace Talk. Be nice, you two. Rich, explain to us neutrals, as I am in this one, how do Boro feel about Sunderland in general? And is that the same feeling you have towards Newcastle, or Sunderland, because you played them more often, the one fixture you look forward to?
Obviously look forward to Sunderland. Comes into the category with Leeds and Newcastle, to be honest. Newcastle we haven't played for a while, to be honest. So it's a bit out of it, but their fans seem to only call it a derby when they do well against us. So we'll see how it goes on Saturday, and then we'll see what they're all saying after that.
Dylan, is it right that Sunderland fans don't consider this a derby an important game? Is Middlesbrough inconsequential?
Look, for me, every team has one derby. Our derby's Newcastle. I wouldn't shy away from the fact this is certainly a rivalry to some extent, but it's definitely not a derby. If we get beat off Boro, I'm thinking oh no, we've got beaten. Their fans are going to chalk it off as a derby win. If we beat Boro, I think, all right, we've won another game in the championship. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, Rich, how do your fans see it?
I think most of us class it as a derby, to be honest, especially the older ones like myself. But it's another game, and it's another important game, to be honest. Where we went this Saturday, again, should have won comfortably, didn't. Sunderland are scaring me a little bit this season with the start they've made. But we'll see. We know on our day we can beat anyone in this division. So,
okay. All right, let's wind the clock back 12 months then to this fixture last year, Dylan. It's not one you'll want to remember. There was a controversial sending off just before, I think, half time. And then Boro went on to win 4-0. There is no chance of a repeat of that this weekend, is there, Dylan?
Well, I don't want to tempt fate, but I certainly hope not. I mean, in recent years, Boro has always been a difficult game for us. So I'm certainly not going to walk into Saturday expecting a win, especially off the back of a loss. But I think that's going to be very telling as well, because it's all well and good when things are going well, we can play people off the park. But this has been the first setback we've had this season, and we're coming up against a very good side on Saturday. So I'm very excited to see how the squad react, how the coach reacts, and fingers crossed, as you said, it's not a repeat of last year.
Rich, you will remember that game really well, I'd imagine.
Yeah, totally unexpected as well, to be honest. We weren't particularly playing well at the time, I don't think. And we went there, and you called it controversial sending off. I don't think it was a controversial sending off. I think it was a red all day. But we took our chances, and it's one of them games. I mean, I think Saturday is going to give us a big indication of where the two clubs are this year. It's a massive game. You can't get past it's a massive game. I thought when Sunderland lost Jack Clark, they might struggle a bit because a lot of their play seemed to come through him. But the new young lad on the left seems to have slotted in just as good and looks a real threat. So we'll have to be on our guard for sure.
Okay. Boro, in terms of all the stats, Rich, are having tons of possession, lots of XG, but aren't picking up the points. There's lots of Boro fans that you should have said you should have won 5 out of 5 based on your performances so far. Preston, the latest team to take a point off you. What is going wrong at the Boro at the moment?
Not clinical enough. And yet again, against Preston, it's a late run into the box that done us again. All our defence was stood static, and it was a cracking finish by the Preston player. But taking our chances, we're creating umpteen chances, and we're just not taking them. It's just as simple as that. There's no other way to put it. If yesterday we could have been 3-0 up at half time, but we just weren't.
Dylan, any team changes need to happen from the starting 11 at Plymouth?
Well, yeah, as we were saying about Ballard, he looks injured, so I imagine he'll be dropping out. Even if he's not injured, I would probably drop him out for Metbam just because I want to see how he looks in the Sunderland shirt. As I said, we were all very excited when he came in, but when he did come in, we all thought, how's he actually going to find his way into the team with what we've got? So Ballard having a bit of a stinker probably opens the door for him. So I bring him in. Do you maybe need Alan Brown starting as opposed to someone like Rig or Joe purely for the experience aspect? I don't know, because Rig and Joe have both looked outstanding so far, so it's hard to drop them. But also they've both been away with the England youth teams over the break, so maybe it's they are due a rest. So yeah, I'd maybe see Brown come back in and then bring Mepham into defence. But other than that, I'd say we're probably just business as usual.
Okay. Let's get a score prediction from you then. Rich, you go first.
2-1 Boro.
Dylan?
I was going to say 2-1 Sunderland, but to be honest, I'm thinking 2-1 either way. It's going to be a really tight game, and I'm quite nervous for it, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Rich, for coming on and sharing your thoughts. Enjoy your trip to the Stadium of Light. I can't see there being many goals in it myself. This might be definitely under 2.5 bet. on the coupon this weekend. Anyway, enjoy the game. Thank you very much both. For Dylan, let's rate some left backs. So, where do you rate, in terms of strength and depth, Dylan, the left back as a position for Sunderland?
It's a tough one because when everybody's fit, we've got more than enough there. We've got
You certainly have. Absolutely, yeah.
Back. I really, really like Niall Huggins. I was so excited when we signed him, and then he's just never been fit since. But on his day, when he's fit and firing, he's within a shout of starting. I mean, it's got Kjelde down as a left back there. He looked really good in his first couple of games when he signed, and then has looked very lacklustre since, and hasn't sort of nailed down a position at left back or centre back. Joe Anderson, with all respect in the world to him, I would not have him on this list at all. I don't want to see him playing in a competitive game for us this season. Not because he's particularly bad. He is bad. He's not at the level to play for Sunderland. He's a League One, League Two player at best, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we need to be having higher caliber players in our team if we're going to achieve what we want to achieve this season.
Okay. Before we let you go, what we'd love you to put in the comments below is who's been the best left back that Sunderland have ever had. Drop it in the comments below and we'll give some shout outs on that next week. Next week we're looking at right backs, so we'll flip over the side, and of course next week we'll be chatting about the Boro result. Finally, Dylan, we're now well into September. We didn't do August Player of the Month because that was already done over the international break. So who for you is the unsung Player of the Month for August? The player that doesn't get the headlines, just quietly goes about his business, has been really effective.
I think that's the problem, because we're having such a positive start to the season, minus the weekend. Everybody's sort of getting the plaudits and everyone's getting the flowers. I think, obviously, it wouldn't be Mundo because he's getting the praise he deserves, and rightfully so. I was sceptical as to whether he'd be able to slot in the Clark spot straight away, but he's absolutely flying, so I'm so happy to see how he's doing. In terms of unsung, I'm going to say Job, just because I think he's only got the one assist this season so far, but in terms of what he's contributing, he's covering so much ground, he's winning in so many duels, and he's just getting in amongst it, and he's sort of looked the combative, tall midfielder that we've been lacking for so long. So I'm going to say Job. Okay,
all right. Disagree with that? Comment below. You know what to do. Thank you very much, Dylan. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. Really enjoy making all this content for you. And we're here every single week with videos out every Monday at 6. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the Boro game. Thanks, Dylan. We'll catch up with you next week, pal. Cheers for watching.